Hey everyone, welcome back. So all the fasteners along with the pins and the bearings and stuff for my camera jib project have finally arrived from AliExpress. And no, it does not actually use all of these, but when you need 2 or 4 of these and you have to buy at least 20, well, you know what, that's what happens. I think the only parts I could buy the exact number that I needed were the bearings. But first thing I want to do is I want to print the test pieces that the author provided to make sure the bearings fit, to make sure your printer's calibrated correctly, so that when you print the whole pieces these bearing goes in, you don't find that the piece is now too large or too small. So the rest of this stuff I'm going to put aside. I'm going to print the test pieces and we'll try them in the bearings when I get the size correct. Then I'll print all the parts that the bearings go in. So let's get those test pieces printed first. Okay, I printed all of these parts out at the 0 size, you know, the normal size, nominal, whatever you want to call it. And it dawned on me as I was printing it that I probably should have only printed the one I was using, because then if I had to go to -1 or +1, I would probably know where the rest of them needed to be too. Now, it turns out that might not be the case, but let's take a look. This is the bearing. The bearing should fit in here. Now, the author says it should take some small hand pressure to push it in, but if you need a bearing, if you need a hammer on it, it's too tight. If it just drops in and flops around, it's too loose. So, it just drops in and flops around. Now, it's not stupid loose, but there is some side-to-side motion. So I did what I thought was the logical thing. I printed the one that said -1, because I assumed minus would mean the hole is smaller. So here is the -1 part, and it's actually even bigger. It's even looser in the -1 part, so I did what I thought would be the illogical thing to do, and I printed the +1. Plus maybe means there's more material in it, I don't know. And +1 requires slight hand pressure, but it will still drop back out if I turn it over. Now, there really is no way you're going to scale this in the slicer, because unfortunately there's no way to scale it in the slicer without making the outer dimension bigger or smaller as well. Now, this isn't exactly what we'd call critical. This isn't the wheel bearing on a high-speed motorcycle. It just, the idea is that there is no slop in it, and if that turns out to leave me some slop in it, I'll just glue the bearing into it. So I'm going to go with the +1 for this. But now the question arises, I'm assuming this part, and I haven't really looked yet, I'm assuming this part is the test to see if the other part fits inside the bearing. This is the 0 part, and it's loose. So if +1 made the hole smaller, what will +1 do over here? Will it make this larger or make it smaller? I don't know. I'm going to have to print one and figure it out. Anyway, now that I know this part size, I think I can go ahead and print the upper core. In fact, I think the upper and lower core both go with this part. That is correct. This is the upper and lower core. So now that I know this, I can print those 2 pieces, which I'm going to do now. This part goes with the core post, which is what goes down the center of the bearing, which is what I don't know, but you know what? We'll deal with that when we come to it. Here are the finished pieces. The lower and upper core, middle and upper core, I think they were called. The bearings are in place, and this is the center post. One of these bearings pushed in tight perfectly. The other one, and these are the +1 parts. The other one wasn't really tight. I put a small bead of hot glue around the perimeter. Not so much just as to glue it in, but also just to fill the gap up so there was no wobble in it. But it's in nice and tight now. And this post is the +2 post. So this part now I consider fits perfectly. It's nice and snug. It's going to have to be pushed on and wiggled, and that's perfect. And I think I'm ready to start putting this together. Okay, there you have it. This should be the base complete. The only spot that I had any issues at all was the feet. And he had the feet going M2 screws going into plastic. Or I forget what it was. Anyway, they were going into plastic threads. He said don't over tighten them. I couldn't even snug them. They weren't tight. They were never going to be tight. So what I did was I took the feet, I made the hole a little bit bigger so a number 10 wood screw would go through, and I put a slight counterbar on it with a really steep step bit, and I just put some 1-inch long number 10 wood screws that were part of a Harbor Freight assortment that I bought probably for $1.99. So that was the only spot I had a problem. Every place else, everything fit really well. Really didn't have any issues at all. The instructions were very good. There were places where things were a little fiddly, but for the most part, it worked well. And I'm going to put this last piece on. Watch out for my camera up there. I'm going to put the last piece in, and it pushes in nice and snug, and you can still raise it and lower it pretty easily. I might put some beeswax. I found beeswax works really good on PLA. And there you have it. So there is the entire lower assembly and the swivel. All we have left now is the upper arm portion of it, the boom arm with the effectuator, you know, the swivel thing on the end that the camera hooks to, and the weight box on the other end. So I'm really looking forward to getting that done. But I do need to stop this video for here now. I want to get it posted tomorrow. And I have another small project that unfortunately has to be done before I can get back to this. So anyway, I'm really pleased with this. If you guys bought this project and are in the process of building it, I think, you know, from what I'm seeing so far, it looks pretty darn good. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.